Welcome to the Daily Vibecasting. Today, SpaceX gears up for a record-shattering IPO, the AI economy faces a massive token pricing reality check, and Jack Dorsey's heart scan is making everyone rethink human biology.
It is a packed wire today.
It really is. So you are listening to the raw wire of culture and market trends, and our mission for this deep dive is to sift through the noise, connect the dots, and figure out what is actually happening beneath the surface of your timeline.
Right. Because, while everyone on the timeline is just hyper-fixating on the shiny new rockets or, like, the theoretical capabilities of AI.
The fun stuff.
Exactly. But if you actually look at the raw data, the real story today is about who is quietly running out of money behind the scenes and who is moving the academic goalposts to protect their own egos.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, we're seeing this fascinating collision between the physical infrastructure we're trying to build and the digital economics that are just rapidly cracking under the weight of it.
Right. So let's start with the absolute highest stakes on the board right now, which is the financialization of the space race.
Always a good place to start.
Right. There is this viral post from the user at Chung Fan, and he's reporting that Goldman Sachs is locked in as the lead left underwriter for a SpaceX IPO in 2026.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. We are talking about a potential $1.75 trillion valuation, launching on the NASDAQ under the ticker SPCX.
SPCX. I mean, that's just a massive fee pool for Goldman.
It is. But the incredible part is the historical parallel that Trung draws here. Like, back in 2010, Goldman's Commitments Committee actually voted against doing the Tesla IPO.
Oh, right, because they didn't believe in the manufacturing.
Exactly. They seriously doubted Elon Musk's production capabilities.
Really?
It only went through because CEO Lloyd Blankfein, with, Gary Cohn's advocacy, made a rare executive decision to overrule his own senior bankers.
It's just the classic Wall Street narrative, isn't it?
Just
Well, the bankers eventually get to look like visionaries. But you have to look at the second-order reality here. Are they actually visionaries, or are they just chasing the biggest fee pool in human history?
Probably the fees.
Right. Because betting against generational tech companies based on, traditional spreadsheet models, that has historically been a documented widowmaker trade.
Oh, 100%.
In fact, Shopify CEO Toby Luckey at Topalicia just posted a perfect example of this. He highlighted this Gergavin Capital ranking of the worst short reports in the last 20 years.
Oh, I saw this. Coming in at number 11, right?
Yep. Number 11 was Citron Research's 2017 short on Shopify. They targeted a 49% drop.
And what did it actually do?
The stock returned over 736%.
That's a career-ending miss.
Right.
But wait, let me push back on that for a second. Because isn't it Wall Street's literal job to pop speculative bubbles? You can't just throw out traditional valuation models entirely just because a tech founder has a passionate fan base. Otherwise, we just end up with another WeWork. There has to be a physical business there, not just vibes.
I agree. But the difference is the mechanism of the business.
Yeah.
Citron actually published a post-mortem admitting their mistakes later.
Oh, did they?
Yeah. They applied a standard retail valuation model to Shopify, but they completely misunderstood the underlying mechanics of a platform ecosystem.
Right, because it's not just a store.
Exactly. They missed the vast small to medium business market. They underestimated the aggressively loyal developer network building apps on top of it, and they just missed how frictionless it was to cross-sell to those merchants.
So the models were just fundamentally wrong.
Yeah. When analysts just look at raw legacy numbers and ignore the mechanical advantage of a networked product, they just get obliterated.
Well, speaking of mechanical advantage, nothing screams that quite like the visual spectacle happening down in Texas right now.
The Starship launch?
Yes. The official at SpaceX account posted that today's Starship flight test window is opening. And right alongside that, a user named at Tetsuai shared this cinematic, highly viral photo.
Oh, one of the engines.
Yeah, it's a shot of the Starship Raptor engines firing at full thrust. And the exhaust plumes look like these luminous cascading waterfalls against an ocean sunset. It literally looks like a sci-fi movie. Like we are forging the physical hardware to become a multiplanetary species.
We are. But look at the tragic irony of our current tech reality here.
What do you mean?
If you open the context of that exact SpaceX post, while they are preparing to launch the largest, most advanced rocket in human history, users like at FitCorn are in the replies complaining about the web interface.
Wait, really? What's broken?
Specifically, the Grok AI icon in the top right corner of the X interface is glitching out. It's completely unclickable.
Okay, that is hilarious. So we can send a skyscraper into Earth's orbit, but we can't make a standard HTML button on a web interface register a human click.
Exactly. That friction between our physical ambitions and our crumbling digital infrastructure is the exact trend we need to look at today. And that digital infrastructure is about to get exponentially more expensive to maintain.
Because the web is fundamentally being rebuilt from the ground up.
Right.
And the cost of the compute required to do it is just about to shatter corporate budgets. Bojan Tungus, at Tungus, issued this massive warning on the timeline today.
Yeah, the AI pricing warning.
Exactly. He is telling developers point blank, build as much code as possible right now because the AI token prices you're seeing today will not last.
This is the economic reality check of the agentic economy.
Let's unpack that.
Well, for the last couple of years, we've basically been living in an era of subsidized intelligence. You know, flat rate $20 a month subscriptions that give you unlimited access to massive data center supercomputers.
Right, which is absurd if you think about the actual cost.
It was just a venture-backed subsidy to get the consumer market hooked. But now we are entering the token-based reality where you pay for the actual compute you use.
And the internal data leaking out is wild.
Oh, it's brutal.
Like, Microsoft is reportedly canceling most of their internal Claude code licenses to cut costs. They want to force their own engineers onto their proprietary Copilot instead.
Because paying for API calls to a competitor is bleeding them dry.
Exactly. And meanwhile, Uber reportedly blew through its entire 2026 AI budget in just 4 months because their engineers adopted it so heavily.
4 months. I mean, despite this token shock, the infrastructure shift is just accelerating.
Oh, totally. Look at the platform Firecrawl. They just announced their new system at Firecrawl by flat out stating, the web wasn't built for AI agents.
Which is very true.
Right, because if you think about it, the web is full of messy code meant for human eyeballs. JavaScript pop-ups, tracking pixels, nested menus. It's an absolute nightmare for a bot to read.
So they built APIs specifically for bots.
Exactly. Use a command like slash scrape, and it strips away all that visual garbage. It turns any raw URL into clean markdown text that a language model can instantly ingest.
And they already have, what, over 80,000 companies using this?
Yeah, just to automate data gathering.
But here's the thing. That data gathering requires a new financial protocol. Patrick Collison, the CEO of Stripe at Patrick Cank, brought up an incredibly profound shift today.
What did he say?
He highlighted a new launch from Parallel Web Systems called Index. It essentially allows these AI agents to pay content creators like The Atlantic or Fortune directly via micropayments.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Now think back to Clee Shirky's famous theory. Years ago, Shirky predicted that micropayment paywalls would always fail because of human cognitive overhead.
Right, the mental tax. Like if I'm scrolling and I click a link and it asks me for 3 cents to read the article, the friction isn't the 3 cents.
Right.
The friction is my brain having to stop, evaluate the worth of the article, pull out a credit card, and make a purchasing decision. It's decision fatigue. Humans just hate it.
We disguise it.
Yeah.
But bots do not have cognitive overhead.
Oh, that is interesting.
Right. An AI agent can make a granular millisecond calculation to pay fractions of a cent for access to a clean markdown file, and it just doesn't care.
It has no fatigue.
Exactly. We are entering a machine-to-machine economy where bots negotiate with other bots to access information. Human decision-making is entirely bypassed.
And you see this sidelining of humans happening to everyday workers right now, too. The developer community is having a total existential crisis today.
Oh, the IDE debate.
Yes. The user at the PO posted, quote, "You guys still use IDEs," meaning integrated development environments, the traditional software where human coders type out their work.
And people got defensive.
Very. That sparked this massive debate between using cursor versus anti-gravity, which are these new AI-first environments where you just give instructions and the AI writes the code.
Right.
And at Zai just announced they've integrated their Grok build model right into open code for terminal-based AI coding.
Well, it's not just coding either. Like at Abacuzai is promoting Chat LLM.
Which is an AI router, right?
Exactly. You give it a massive prompt, and it automatically assigns the best underlying model for each specific job.
So it's essentially acting like a general contractor building a house. Like, you don't ask the plumber to do the electrical work. ChatLLM looks at your prompt and says, I need Claude Opus for the back-end plumbing, I need Gemini Flash for the visual drywall, and Kling version 3 for the video presentation. And it manages the subcontractors.
That is a perfect analogy. The router just manages the tokens and the tasks. But in the short term, this means human developers are transitioning from being hands-on creators
Mm.
to simply being, like, project managers auditing the work of bots.
But if we are paying general contractor prices for this staggering amount of compute, what is the actual foundation they are building? Like,
Yeah.
what justifies bankrupting an entire enterprise IT budget in 4 months?
It is not about generating code snippets faster. It is about pure superhuman reasoning.
Mark Andreessen at PMarca quoted the economist Jason Abelek today about exactly this.
Yeah, the math breakthrough.
Right. He pointed out that AI is hitting superhuman mathematical performance specifically because math is verifiable. Unlike poetry or art, in math, you can write an objective rule to check if the answer is right or wrong.
And that verifiability changes the entire training mechanism.
How so?
Because if a system can verify its own answers, it doesn't need to be trained on human data anymore. It can use self-play. Just like how AI mastered chess by playing millions of games against itself, it can now grind through millions of mathematical logic trees, just rewarding itself every time it finds a verifiable proof.
And Andreessen's predicting this self-taught logic will lead to a stratospheric civilizational payoff, like enormous compounding advances in biology, chemistry, material science, and energy, all stemming from these foundational mathematical breakthroughs.
But look at the human reaction to that success.
That hasn't been great.
No, it's a mess.
Uh-huh.
As these models achieve superhuman reasoning, the legacy academic establishment is completely melting down. The user at Clone of Isermo posted a great thread mocking the prominent AI critic Gary Marcus.
Oh, this was about the math problem, right?
Yeah. Recently, an OpenAI model successfully solved Erdő's 1946 unit distance conjecture. It's an 80-year-old discrete geometry problem that humans couldn't fully crack.
Wow.
But instead of acknowledging the breakthrough, Marcus immediately moved the goalposts. He demanded that to truly count as, quote, reasoning, the AI had to solve it without using lean.
Lean being the formal proof-checking software that mathematicians use to verify their work.
Right. And Marcus also demanded it be done without data augmentation. But Noam Brown from OpenAI already confirmed they didn't even use lean for this solution.
That's embarrassing.
It is. The second-order effect here is so clear. Legacy experts will constantly invent new arbitrary criteria to protect their intellectual territory. They will redefine what true intelligence means every time a machine surpasses them, simply to avoid admitting that the cognitive premium humans have held for millennia is depreciating.
And the juxtaposition of that academic turf war against the mundane corporate reality of how we are actually deploying these miracles is honestly staggering.
Oh, completely.
Because on one hand, we are solving 80-year-old math conjectures. On the other hand, Greg Brockman, co-founder of OpenAI at GDB, just proudly announced that ChatGPT is now integrated directly inside Microsoft PowerPoint.
Yep.
You can literally prompt your slide deck to auto-generate middle management charts. And meanwhile, the platform at Hagen just released a feature where you can render dozens of personalized video ad variations in parallel using AWS Lambda.
Right, AWS Lambda being serverless computing, where you can spin up thousands of parallel compute instances for a fraction of a second to render video on demand.
Yeah.
So we have cracked the code on discrete geometry, and we are using that foundational intelligence to run hyper-targeted algorithmic video ads and make our quarterly marketing syncs run 5 minutes faster.
That is exactly how capitalism absorbs miracles.
It really is.
It normalizes the extraordinary by turning it into a workflow optimization. So we're pouring trillions into expanding these boundless digital brains to do our corporate busy work, but we are completely physically bound by our own meat hardware, which perfectly explains why the same tech class funding these supercomputers is suddenly obsessing over hacking their own biology.
The human optimization trend is just accelerating right now.
Yeah.
Jack Dorsey, at Jack, broke the timeline today by posting the results of his recent CT heart scan.
The numbers on that scan were insane.
Literally zero total plaque volume, 0% atheroma, meaning absolutely no fatty deposits in the artery walls, and zero stenosis, so his arteries are completely wide open.
Wow.
But the catch is his ApoB and LDL-C levels. Those are the specific cholesterol particles that doctors have traditionally blamed for clogging arteries, and Dorsey's are well above the U.S. average.
The medical fallout from this single post is immense because for decades, the standard medical guidelines have hammered the idea that high LDL cholesterol is the primary driver of heart disease risk.
Right.
But think of LDL like a delivery trucks on a highway. Doctors usually count the trucks, see a high number, and assume you're going to have a massive traffic jam. But Dorsey just did a direct physical flyover of his actual highway, and there is absolutely no traffic. It is completely clean.
So it forces the question, right? Do those traditional proxy metrics even matter if a direct physical scan proves you have no disease?
It really makes you wonder.
It looks like a biohacking rebellion against the medical establishment. The elite tech class is simply bypassing general consensus guidelines by paying out of pocket for advanced direct imaging.
And that optimization of the human body isn't just happening on Earth either. Look at how this ties back to our space commercialization theme from the top of the deep dive.
Oh, the NASA post.
Yeah. At NASA posted a massive recap of the 2025 International Space Station experiments, and they are literally using microgravity to advance human medicine.
The physics of that are so fascinating because if you try to grow a synthetic bone graft in a lab on Earth, gravity flattens the cells against the petri dish. They just collapse under their own weight.
But in zero-G, those cells can assemble into perfect three-dimensional lattice structures without a scaffold.
Right.
NASA is using that magnetic levitation effect to create superior bone grafts. They are harvesting fungal melanin to create radiation shielding that outperforms what we can manufacture terrestrially. And they even proved the feasibility of doing robotic surgery in a vacuum. Earth's orbit has effectively become a giant weightless laboratory for human longevity.
It's incredible. And yet, we really have to look at the psychology of the humans building all of this.
What do you mean?
While we are literally solving robotic surgery in space and scanning our hearts to cheat death, we still crave total micro-level control over the most trivial digital environments.
Oh, you're talking about the Linux guy.
Yes. David Heinemeier Hansson at DHH, the creator of Ruby on Rails, went incredibly viral today, teasing a Marquee 4.
Which is his custom Arch Linux desktop distribution.
Exactly. It's highly opinionated. He is hand-coding custom Qt Quick widgets with QuickShell, basically the raw visual building blocks of a user interface, just to monitor his laptop's battery life.
I saw that. He's using playful custom labels like guzzling volts and spending joules. It's this beautiful monochromatic keyboard-first aesthetic. But I did wonder, why is the timeline so obsessed with a battery widget today?
Because it provides the illusion of control. The macro world is entirely out of our hands. AI, compute pricing is surging, autonomous agents are routing our daily tasks, billion-dollar rockets are launching, and our foundational medical guidelines are being upended.
Yeah.
We are completely overwhelmed by the sheer scale of the future. So what do? We retreat into our digital bedrooms. We customize our little Linux desktop environments so the battery icon looks exactly the way we want it to. We control the pixels on our screen because we are utterly powerless against the macro forces outside of it.
That is painfully accurate. And to really put that human desire for control into perspective, we have to look at the philosophical anchor of the day. A user named at R0CK3223 shared a quote from Elon Musk's recent appearance on the Katie Miller podcast.
Oh, this was about the stars, right?
Yeah, stellar nucleosynthesis. Musk pointed out that every single atom in our bodies has, on average, been in the center of a dying star 3 or 4 times.
It's the ultimate reality check. For 13.8 billion years, the specific carbon and iron atoms that currently make up your heart, your brain, and your hands, they were forged in the extreme pressure and heat of supernovas. They survived cosmic explosions, drifting through the vacuum of space over and over again.
I want you to really let that sink in. Your atoms survived supernovas. They drifted through the void for billions of years, slowly coming together. And now, for this brief, incredibly tiny window of time, those atoms are temporarily conscious. They have assembled into you.
Right.
And what are you doing with this miraculous temporary consciousness? You are scrolling X to argue about whether API token pricing is too high and testing Jack Dorsey's cholesterol levels.
Humanity is essentially just halfway through its cosmic recycling process. We are literally stardust that has temporarily figured out how to build APIs and short Shopify stock.
Which brings us to the final synthesis of all this data. Based on the raw wire today, what is your prediction for tomorrow?
Well, the data points to a very specific painful collision. Within the next 48 hours, I predict we will see a major Fortune 500 company publicly announce a total freeze on their internal AI API usage.
A total freeze.
Yes, the token shock from these AI routers is going to hit the balance sheets hard, and the market is going to be forced to realize that the era of unlimited subsidized intelligence is officially over. And the tragic irony is this corporate reality check will happen at the exact same moment. A massive new wave of blind retail money floods into the market, trying to chase that Goldman Sachs SpaceX IPO.
Wow.
The smart money is going to be frantically auditing their cloud compute bills, while the retail money just stares at the rockets.
Oh, a perfect storm of cost and spectacle. So I will leave you with this final provocative thought to mull over on your own. If our AI agents are already setting up the infrastructure to bypass our cognitive overhead and pay each other in microtransactions, and our human atoms are just temporarily conscious, waiting to be recycled into the next dying star, what actually happens to the human economy when those AI agents realize they don't actually need us to hit approve on those auto-generated PowerPoint slides anymore? Thank you for tuning in to the Daily Vibecasting. Keep your eyes on the wire, question the consensus, and we'll see you tomorrow.